Triber EasyR AMT. This is the sort of 7-seater from Renault, has the AMT box and is priced at 7.3 lakhs ex-showroom. Let's see how this car is. The car is a very nice, striking, bold design from Renault. I mean, Renault does know how to design their cars really well. Look at the new Kwid and look at the Duster. It's so old, but it still looks so fresh in the current market. So this car basically has 3 horizontal chrome slats, a big Renault grille on a matte black grille, and it has a 4 skid plate to make it look like it's going to be a very tough, abuse-friendly car. But is it? That's more on that later. You might think they are fog lights, but these are just DRLs. Fog lights are optional extras that you can fit at the dealership. By factory, this car does not have fog lights. On the hood, you can see there are some grease lines to make it look like it's a very powerful car. It might have a very big engine inside, but it is only a 1-liter naturally aspirated engine. A very cool feature that Renault has added in this budget car is the addition of projector lights. I mean, I don't think you can find that very often in this kind of price bracket. The car is when you notice that this car is actually a sub 4 meter car. I feel that the rear has been modified, to make it fit in the sub 4 meter. It feels like it's been very abruptly cut. Again, Renault has masked it really well, and I think that it's a good looking side profile. I mean, looks is not a problem with this car. It's one of the fortes that this car has. And you can see once you come to the side that the roof is actually slanted. The rear part is slightly raised for more headroom, and obviously there is the 3rd row AC unit as well. So for that, to accommodate that, they have raised the rear roof as well, which might seem odd to a few, but I think that it's a pretty unique design element that not many cars have nowadays. And also, these roof rails are actually really sturdy and are actually for use. These are not just for cosmetic purposes. You can actually use to, put on a roof carrier or maybe some luggage or anything. Very thoughtful addition by Renault here as well. If you think this is cladding, this is not cladding. This is just sticker. This might seem like a very cheap, cost-cutting maneuver by Renault, but I think it's fine because it's, I think, lesser in maintenance for the owner as well. But yes, these are stickers. These are not actually cladding. These, however, are real cladding. Even the front and the bottom of the front bumper carries on this cladding to make it look like, a little rugged vehicle, and to make it perhaps make it look like a crossover. Maybe that's what Renault was aiming for. The front wheels have disc brakes, the rear wheels have drum brakes. But what's more alarming are these are not alloys. To everybody I've asked, these look like alloys, but these are not alloys. And you can see, I can take this out. These are actually steelies with wheel caps. Amazing design by Renault to fool everybody to think that these are alloys. But these are actually not alloys, and even I was surprised when I actually found it out the first time. The tires themselves are 185/65 R15 tires. Very quirky element of this design is this fender mounted indicator. Normally you would see that maybe the fender mounted indicators are somewhere actually on the fender or maybe on the ORVM. But this design element right on the cladding, right in the lower part of the fender is definitely very quirky and very unique touch by Renault. Again, very simplistic touch by Renault. There's not very fancy here. Just very simple halogen taillights, a huge Renault logo, a badging that mentions what car this is. So this has Triber. Another badging to mention, if you don't recognize this icon, this badge, there is a monogram that mentions Renault, just in case you don't recognize the diamond logo. And then there is EasyR. So this is only exclusive to the AMT because the AMT is called the EasyR gearbox. So this badge is exclusive to the AMT version. Energy is mentioning the engine. So this car has the energy engine, but more on that later. Great place to be. Everything you touch and feel feels really well built. It does not feel that it's built to a price, and that's really commendable on behalf of Renault. Everything you hold, the dashboard, everything just feels so nice. It does not feel that it's in this price bracket, which is really nice. Everything feels very solid. The door pads, everything feels really well. This is not leather wrapped. This is not leather wrapped as well. It's a leatherette type of unit, and I don't like that. I wish it was a little leather wrap because it does look really good. Same goes for the gear knob. It has that same material all over. It's a little hard, I would say, and there are quite a lot of hard plastics, so you know there are hard plastics everywhere on the dash. Again, it is hard, but it feels very durable, and I like the style of the whole layout of the dashboard as well. I think that it's a pretty good looking dashboard. There's a huge screen that has Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, Bluetooth connectivity in the works. This toggle switches here that resemble, I don't know, maybe an F-16 fighter, because you actually have to flick it and press it to get it to work. So it's pretty cool and it feels very tactile. The AC controls are manual, however, so they are old school knobs, not any digital fancy stuff that comes in cars these days. Maybe you can keep your phones, or maybe you can keep the key fob of the car here. And then there is the start stop button that has an aluminium ring around it to lend it a little premium feel. I think that's also pretty cool. The positioning is, however, pretty odd because normally you find the cars here or here. So this is a real weird place to position the start stop button. But again, I think it's a little quirky. The French do make quirky cars, so this is one of the perks they have in the car. And then you have a huge storage bin here, which has the USB and the aux port to connect your phone to the Android Auto or the Apple CarPlay. And then you have the gear lever. So this is just a normal. It just has R and D, and then you have the manual mode. Something this dashboard has is has a lot of storage spaces. When I say a lot, I mean a lot. So the doors have huge pockets. You can see I can accommodate a full-size bottle in the door, which is really nice. Then you have the upper one where you can store your stuff, and then you have the lower one as well. And then you have one more storage here. This is really cool. So the fun fact is that this lower one and this storage is cooled. So you can cool your drinks or anything you want to keep inside. It's going to stay chilled, which is a really useful addition by Renault. I mean, how many car makers provide two cool glove boxes in their car? Another thing in the interior, which is the seats. I like the color theme this car has, the grey, beige, silver, aluminium, everywhere. There's a mix of three colors basically in the dashboard. The seat also carries the same theme, so it has the black and the beige mix. I think the seats themselves are very comfortable. These are fabric seats, so they're not leather, but they're really, really soft, really, really plush, and really, really comfortable for long drives as well. One downside, however, I feel is that these seats have fixed headrest. I mean, I really wish these were adjustable. We're living in 2020, and I wish that, you know, car makers actually provide adjustable headrests now. Fixed headrests are things of the past, and once you get inside, you realize how wide the doors open. Makes ingress and egress really, really easy, especially for older people or people who find little difficulty moving. I think this is a really useful addition by Renault to have really wide doors. Once you do come inside, you do realize that legroom is decent. I have this seat adjusted to my drive position. I am 5'8", and I don't drive very laid back, so for me this is pretty decent legroom. Not the best, but yeah, my knees are not touching the seat, which is a good thing. There are seat pockets in both seats, which is really useful. You can keep your small knickknacks, which I really appreciate car makers to provide. Then you notice that there are pillar mounted AC vents for the second row, and they can be controlled by a knob here. Again, this is a very unusual position for the AC knob, but again, rear passengers can just stretch, or maybe they can request the driver or the co-passenger to adjust the AC knob. Rest, everything feels really roomy because of the beige roof liner and the beige bits around here. Everything feels very airy, sitting one notch higher than the driver. If not for the fixed headrest, you would have great view for the middle row passengers. But because of the fixed headrest, it's a little blocked, it's a little concealed, which I don't like. But again, you're sitting slightly higher, so that kind of, you know, makes it easier for the middle row passengers to see the road, maybe experience the road. The windows themselves are really big, so again, you get a lot of sunlight, makes it really roomy, really nice for the middle row passengers. They don't feel claustrophobic inside, which is really nice because this car's actual footprint isn't very big. So for a car that is this small, to have such spacious interiors is actually commendable packaging by Renault, and it has to be really, you know, pointed out that it's a really good job done by Renault to package so beautifully inside of such a compact platform. This car also has a third row, as you guys already know, so the way to get in there is pretty easy. Now that I've showed you what it is inside to get in and out of the third row, let's show you the third row from the outside, because this third row has something very cool for it. When you open the boot, you realize that I basically have one half of the third row, because this third row can actually be removed. So if you don't want to use it and if you want a big boot, you can actually take out the seats and keep it at home. There is a bag that Renault provides for you to keep that seat at your home, which is something really unique and really cool. So in this setup, what I have is basically I have one half of the seat to show you that the boot space is really low with this third row up. I mean, maybe you can have maybe one bag, that's about it. A backpack, not even a suitcase. One backpack, that's about it. But if, and then once you remove all the seats, which is really cool, you get a huge boot. You have a 625 liter boot, which is actually bigger than the bigger cars that Renault offer, like the Duster. I mean, what's the harm? You can use this as a 5-seater with a huge boot. Really commendable packing by Renault. Now I'm behind the wheel of the Triber AMT, so let's see how this car drives. So first things first, you have to do is basically slot the gear lever into drive, lower the handbrake, because obviously it does not have a park, so anywhere you need to park, put in neutral, you have to pull up the handbrake. So once you drop the handbrake, move on, and then you feel the 3-cylinder thrum. You know, every 3-cylinder engine has the vibes, the thrum, but it is extremely prominent in this car. Like, when I say extremely prominent, it's still an understatement. You really need to feel the 3-cylinder thrum, and then you'll understand what I'm talking about. It's really vibrate. It has a lot of vibrations. You can feel a lot of vibes, which is definitely not a nice thing. But again, once you drive and get into the feel of it, it's something you get used to it. Which doesn't mean that it's not there. It's still there. It's just that you get used to it. And then when you turn in, you realize the steering is very light. In fact, this makes it really easy to drive in city conditions. In fact, my mom took it for a spin and she loved the steering setup on this car because it was so light. As you can see, the steering is very electric. It has very inconsistent feedback, so it's actually free. You can see it's an electric power steering. It's not hydraulic, but it works in weird ways, and it's very free. Look at this. I'm shaking the steering, but the car isn't actually moving it left or right. That's how vague it is. Steering feel mid-corner when the speeds build up is decent. I would say not the best. Again, this car is not meant to be hurried in any way, be it on the straights or in the corners. You have to drive it in a very relaxed way. It's an A to B car, not a corner carver. It's just you sit in it, fill fuel and drive. For those purposes, this car is amazing because I have driven this car immensely in city bumper to bumper traffic, and it's actually very comfortable, very easy to drive. The AMT is jerky. It is a 5-speed unit, very jerky unit, and it is very delayed at times because especially it holds first gear sometimes. If you have part throttle, it holds first gear for too long, so you can hear the engine all the time, and the engine is not a good sounding engine, if I can say it. It is a 1-liter engine. It produces about 70 odd PS, so it's not the fastest around, but you can hear the engine. As you can see, I'm putting the foot down and you can hear the engine. There's a delay. And the head nod, the head nod they say for AMT, this one has a very prominent head nod from first to second. Second to third onwards, the shifts are much smoother, but first to second or second to first, when it downshifts, it is very jerky. Rest, again, if you drive it in a very unhurried way, it's a very nice car to drive in city urban things, because even if it's an AMT, it's still better than driving a manual in bumper to bumper traffic. One thing you'll lack while driving is that even though this car has Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, this does not have any steering controls. It's completely blank here, which again I don't understand, because if you are providing advanced technology like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, you should provide steering controls as well, right? I'm not asking for cruise control, but steering controls is bare minimum these days, because you are providing some sort of technology. You should have some things to back it up.
In conclusion then, the Renault Triber AMT. The petrol engine is decently punchy, not the best around, and it is pretty vibey. The AMT gearbox is again adequate, not the best around. It is pretty jerky, but it is still better than driving a manual in stop-start traffic. The space is amazing. It's got amazing packaging inside in such a small footprint, under sub 4 meters. It's really commendable by Renault to package such amazing space inside. The middle row is amazing, and the third row is only meant for kids, but hey, you can remove it and use it as a big boot. That's amazing versatility for the car in this price bracket. It looks amazing and I think it rides really well as well. Overall, it's a great package, and I think someone who needs a 7-seater in this budget, in such a small budget, I don't actually think there is anything else in this budget that can compete with this car. So it's pretty much standing alone in the segment, and that's why I think it's a great car and it can do really well in this segment, and it should do really well. Overall, I was very impressed with this car, and I hope Renault manages to sell this car really well in its segment. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.